I'm Sarah Sawyer. I'm a friend of the poet Andrea Werblin Reid, and I'm here in the Boulder Bookstore to talk about her upcoming book, To See Yourself as You Vanish.
Can you give us a brief overview of To See Yourself as You Vanish?
Sure. To See Yourself as You Vanish is a poetry collection. It's Andrea's third published poetry collection, and it really focuses on her diagnosis of ovarian cancer, treatment, remission, recurrence of that cancer, grief, and end of life. And so while it is poetry that is universal to anyone experiencing illness and grief, or anyone who knows anyone going through that, it is also talking about her experience and her feelings around that time.
What inspired Andrea to share her journey through cancer with poetry?
Andy was a poet her whole life. This is her third book, and her first book was very much like an early 90s poetry book about travel, about being in Barcelona, about her crappy boyfriends, that kind of thing. Her second book was after she was married, and so writing about being in love and writing about a little more about domestic life, kind of. So writing about her life is something she'd always done. When she was diagnosed, she really had some feelings about, like, I don't want to be a cancer poet. I don't want to write stupid cancer poems, There's a whole range of what people write about their illnesses. But she did join up with some friends. This was during COVID. Joined up with some friends who had a Zoom group, poet friends. And they would meet every day at lunch to answer prompts. And she found herself writing about what was going on in her life, which was cancer, and sharing them at support groups and retreats. And the response she got from the other women at the retreats was really overwhelming. And she thought, well, this is something I can do. I can use my talents to work through what's happening with me, but also to support other women. So I think that is really what brought her there. She was writing for herself, certainly, but also for the other people that share that experience.
How did you come to be involved with Andrea's work?
So I've known Andy for a long time. We're both copywriters, retail copywriters, and we met 15 years ago and would work on the same brands and hire each other, and we're colleagues. And I knew her work through being her friend. And while she was sick, we would talk on the phone, about what was going on with her. And she said, I'm writing some poetry. Is this a thing? Like you do. And so I was part of the early readers of that work. And as it became clear that she was not going to have a survivor's story to tell, she talked to a few friends and said, when I'm gone, can you do what you can to have this published? And I said, sure, I'll do it right now. But she wanted to wait, so we waited. And that's how I became involved.
Why do you feel it was important for Andrea to write a collection of poetry like this?
I think Andrea was not done living. She was still very alive, even when she wasn't feeling well. And illness, like at this level, it takes things from you, it takes energy from you. And for a while, it really took away her impetus to write. She wasn't writing much. She did some blog kinds of things, but she wasn't writing poetry like this until she joined with Aliki Barnstone and Deborah Gregerman and some of her other poet friends and was writing during the day. And I think she found that it helped her process what she was going through. And so that was important for her. But then I think when she saw it was affirming and healing for other people going through similar things, it became something she was very determined to do. Like when I think about her writing in that time of her life, I think about that scene from the recent Little Women, where Joe is up all night with like paper everywhere. I think there was a bit of that racing the clock energy going on.
Can you tell us about Andrea's writing process?
Yeah. A lot of what she wrote during this time was very much with this group, but also separate from the group. She would take prompts and work with themes within the prompt. So we would find what we were left with was not like an ordered book. It was a stack of papers from kind of all over the house. So we would find fragments and reworked fragments and some things that felt more like complete poems. When I was reading, there was a Google file of poems, and so we read through that and sort of made some tweaks and changes. But I think it was very much like writing from the moment and then revisions and sharing with other people.
Can you tell us about some of Andrea's other interests?
Yeah. Andy was really an adventurer. Her husband was asked recently what was she like, and he said the first word that comes to mind was adventure, and I really see that. She lived in other places. She's from Boston. She lived in Arizona for a long time. She lived in Sandpoint for a while. She lived in Barcelona for a while. She likes meeting people and going to concerts and just seeing the world and being alive. And she's a little bit of a punk rocker. Like, she wore Doc Martens and sort of retro dresses and baby barrettes, and played. I know she played London Calling like on repeat while she was sick. She was just pissed off that she was sick, and would sort of stomp around the house with London Calling. But she also loved the magnetic fields a lot. She loved that sort of Stephen Merritt cleverness and pop culture relevance, and that really resonated too.
Is there anything else you want us to know about Andrea's poetry?
Yeah. Andrea's first book, which I also have here from Wesleyan Press, is Lullaby for One Fist, was a much more academic book. It was her first published book, and it was very academic. Her second book was a little less academic and more accessible, and this third book is very accessible. It is very well crafted, beautiful, lyrical, image-filled poetry. It is also very readable. If you're a poet, or if you're a reader of poet and memoir, there will be a lot that you love about that genre that you will find here. But also, if you are facing your own cancer journey, if you love someone who's facing this kind of a journey, if you're just curious about death and dying, this is the kind of book you can pick up and read and come back to. It's not like work to read, but it is beautiful and so well crafted and funny. There are funny. It's fierce and it's very feminist and very funny. I guess one other thing I love about the book that I like to tell people is that since being involved in this project, I've read a lot of other books about cancer and death and dying, and a lot of us, maybe women especially, sort of default to this. I know I'm dying. I want to make everyone else feel better, you know. And Andy does not do that. She certainly had people around that she loved and cared about and worried about, and asked us all to kind of watch each other. So she had those connections and she had that impulse. But this book is really about her and about things that maybe were unsaid because they would be uncomfortable for people to hear, but are very true. And I so admire that. I admire her having that courage and fierceness.
Can you read us a short poem from To See Yourself As You Vanish?
I will, happily. This is The Dazzling Odds by Andrea Werblin Reid. Knowing what you know, the scuttle that finally breaks you is not the image of your partner blinking at your empty kitchen chair, remembering pancake Sundays, but the genuine epiphany of your own absence. Radiators still thumping through winter, black ice still marking the roads, with the motor of you missing. Not knowing what you can't know, do not deprive yourself of the chance that some stream is already rising. Some neon light burning in the body dares to untether itself and waits at the juncture of here and not here. Not even science knows everything. What you're certain is rust in one light is easily ornament in another. Believe you'll live beyond expectation. Amplify the thought inside you.